After analyzing over 50 different school communities across multiple niches, we've discovered something shocking. The top 1% of school communities are doing almost the exact opposite of what most experts recommend. While everyone's telling you to keep all of your best information hidden behind a paywall, the best communities that we're studying are actually giving away their most valuable information for free, but they're doing that in a process that leads to natural ascension and adding the most value possible for their free members. While most owners are featured on fancy tactics and complex strategies, the top 1% communities are doubling down on the fundamentals that most people overlook. In this video, Steve and I are going to be breaking down exactly what we've been finding inside of this research so that you can pull those golden nuggets and start to implement these ninja strategies in your community and rise through the ranks in the discovery on Skool. These are data-driven findings that are found inside of the top communities that have reached top 30 in their specific categories within the Skool platform. So these are earning the coveted star badge and really building sustainable businesses on Skool. So if you're running a Skool community or you're thinking about starting one, this could be the most valuable 20 minutes that you spend before you do.
Yeah.
Let's dive in.
Let's go.
So the first thing to talk about is really how we research school communities and what really has stood out to us as the top performing schools. So I think the idea here is to let them know, like, we're looking at the communities with the star, like why they do have the star, why they don't, why they're rising through the ranks while others are falling back. Even some of the biggest names in the industry, we're seeing their school communities aren't performing as well as you would think.
Yeah.
So it's like, why is that?
Yeah.
So yeah, what are some of the metrics that you would be looking at to determine who we should be looking at versus who we shouldn't be when we're modeling advice on Skool?
Yeah, I mean, I would start with, the top 1% of school communities. In order to know that, they actually have a star emoji that represents that in each specific category, right? So if you're in the top 30 in your specific category on Skool, you will receive a star next to your name, and that indicates the top 1%. So I would say definitely look at that, because that would definitely represent, what communities are either getting, a lot of, not necessarily just traffic, but a lot of engagement. The algorithm itself is based off of engagement and, posts, comments, things like that. So I would look at the top 30 for each category.
Cool. So it's clear like who's crushing it in each category. But the question is, what have you seen that are the common themes amongst different niches? So you have things like the money category or spirituality or tech. Like, what are you seeing as anchoring in a top 30 community regardless of the niche?
I would say it's the members, right? I believe that it's the members that are in there that are engaged, right? They're the ones that are making posts. What I see that I consider a healthy community, besides just having the star and having a ton of engagement itself, it's actually like when other members in your community are posting and you almost see like this flow. It's not just the owner, right? Just posting. It's like, Bob. Maybe it's Bob, Phil, Jen, Lisa, Bob, Jen, Craig. It's a nice flow of people posting. And I would say that's a good, healthy mark to consider. And then also potentially, the comments, right? And then the likes on each of those posts, the engagement in general.
Yeah, okay, cool. So then we're talking about engagement, so kind of moving away from just the owner doing all the work to then now we actually have a community that's being formed.
Yeah.
So then what are the other commonalities then, regardless of niche?
Yeah, I would say, you always have your biggest fans, right? Whether you're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, whatever it is. And I would say your biggest fans are most likely going to be the most engaged people in your community, right? And you can clearly see that on the leaderboards as well. I would say that's a really good indicator as well. It's like creating those fans, whether they're in person and bringing them over into your school community, and you're essentially creating that culture where you're seeing a lot of engagement, right? And posts and questions and sharing wins, all of that stuff.
Yeah. And then I'd be curious, why do you feel like conventional wisdom? So think what people are normally being told by like a business coach or a coaching program that they're in. Why do you think that might be failing them in their actual community growth strategy?
Yeah, well, it's really obvious, honestly. It's, Skool is a community platform, right? I think a lot of people, when they move over to Skool and they have a great business, they're making lots of money, they believe they have a big fan base, right, because of engagement on other socials. But then when they get to school, I think they get hit with like a realization that, hold on here, I don't actually think I have the amount of fans or, that know, like, and trust that I thought I had, right? And I think it's a realization a lot of these bigger influencers per se that come on, move from school, YouTube to Skool, and they kind of have that realization that, hold on, I don't really have really true fan bases, right? And I think that's a realization a lot of people do have.
Yeah. I know even before you even joined the team, honestly, like when I had built and moved the whole business to Skool, I had a successful business off of Skool, but then bringing it to Skool, quickly realized, yeah, I didn't have a community. And it was almost like I would launch a new thing, a new mastermind, webinar, challenge, whatever, and I would be launching that out to social media, to an email list or something, and it was almost like really hard trying to get people to sign up to it. And now that we have this community that's growing and thriving, and it's like this compounding effect, anytime we want to launch something, we have a hot audience.
Yeah.
Like an audience that loves us, but loves each other. And they keep showing up. It's like, I've never seen anything like it. It's insane.
It is, it really is. And it's funny, like I won't show up in there for, let's say, a whole day, which will be like, most likely I'm always showing up.
You make that sound like a long time.
Yeah, most likely I am showing up. But I would say for me specifically, a lot of people on YouTube, right, they come over to Skool and they treat it just like a business, right? The classroom, the master class that you throw in your lives, it's essentially you're treating it like a business. And yes, at the end of the day, your school community is the byproduct of a business, yes. But I would look at it more like you're hosting somebody at your house, right? And you're throwing this like event or whatever it is, and you're essentially, there's food over there, there's drinks over there, there's music in the background, and you're just setting that atmosphere up, and you're not constantly just pushing people, you're not throwing down their throats that, you have this new offer, you need to sign up now because if you don't, you're gonna lose it. It's just not the atmosphere that Skool really represents, is that salesy, pushy, ick type of feeling. It doesn't really work on Skool. You gotta lead with community.
Right. And that's where I think if we're looking at what works versus what doesn't work, what works is coming and understanding that and realizing that you are putting community first, you're building community, versus what doesn't work as somebody who might be crushing it off Skool. You can't just expect that you're going to come on Skool and carry that success with you immediately, because it's going to take time to build up your community. And even if your community is engaged in a WhatsApp group right now, getting them to actually start showing up and using Skool can be a challenge in of itself. So we can't just expect our success to follow us to this platform. And I just think that's a reality check for a lot of creators.
It is. Yeah, it is a reality check, exactly. And I think you really realize who exactly is like for you. And I think that's like the realization a lot of these creators that do have big subscribers and follow accounts get that like relatively in the first week of joining Skool when they first make their community.
Yeah, but then I think it's just the understanding that long term, that's compounding success that you will have. So part two of this, part one is really just where we're getting our research from, where we're getting these facts from, like just some common themes that we're seeing. But part two is the counterintuitive content strategy that I think is at the forefront of every single Skool community that's going to be successful. And that's really what the top 1% do, which is kind of Alex Hormozy's style, which is giving away your best content for free. And Skool gives you one of the best platforms in the world to do that, which is not keeping your knowledge behind a paywall, which if you're looking at Circle, Thinkific, Kajabi, that's like at the forefront of what the purpose is of that community.
Yeah.
A course. It's a course that you have as a part of your paid offer. What we need to shift your mindset on right now is that's not the point anymore. The point is community is first, community is central in your offer, and the course, the other things. That might be why someone comes initially and clicks join, and it might add value to them throughout their journey, but they're really coming back for each other. And so we need to do the counterintuitive content strategy, which is giving away your best stuff that you have for free and trusting that those who want your help are going to pay you for more implementation. And that's where we start getting into the paid tier strategies.
Yeah, and I think like when people think something free, right, they think low value automatically because it's free. How can it be worth really anything, right, in some way? But I actually want you to change that mindset and not give out like all of your best stuff, but give something valuable out, right?
To that point, like what we talked about earlier, we're seeing the best communities are almost giving out like a prerequisite to their paid thing. It's like, what would your person need to do successfully to be ready for your paid program? So like, for example, if you have like a business offer, but you want to work with someone who's further along in their journey, not just a beginner, well, let's serve the beginner and get them their first couple of clients and then enroll them into your paid tier, right? Like that's just an example. What's a prerequisite to your paid offer? Let's give away that, get them quick wins, get a testimonial even, and then upsell into your higher tier where you can help them implement at a higher level.
Yeah, and maybe just the level of support is higher, right?
Yes.
Not necessarily just the value, but the level of support
Or
and
access to you.
and the access, the ability to access you and be able to reach you. Maybe it's, 5 days a week you have access to where you can reach out to me and I'll be able to help you further. It's really just access points is the value.
Access to you, your team, your strategies, your structure, maybe done for you, agency level support. It's just, they get more access to your methodologies basically. And so I think there's nothing wrong with giving away your best stuff for free. Because like Alex says, the worst case scenario is that your free stuff sucks and they think you suck. So we might as well show them what we got.
Yeah. And you're also creating that curiosity, right? Like, oh, if this is the free stuff, I can't imagine what the paid stuff is like.
Right.
So you're creating that curiosity with that potential client.
Yeah, so and like a couple of the ways that we're doing this in our free community and what we're seeing in every community out there that's really crushing it on Skool is they have a crystal clear onboarding process, whether you have a free community or a paid community. What the top 1% are doing well, crystal clear onboarding and a clear client journey. Okay, so you need those things. So top 1% are doing that. The other percentage of the community owners and what not to do on Skool is they're throwing all of their content into their classroom and just like throwing spaghetti at the wall, not sure what's gonna stick, thinking like more information equals better. And that's not the case. Like honestly, I think the information age, if I'm being real, I think it's like over. I think what people really want is implementation, and the best Skool communities know this and are designing the journey with that in mind.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, people want results and support, right? So that's why the implementation phase is so important right now, because if you implement, you're taking action, right? And I think that's why it's, this consuming of information, it's, you're here, you're there, and you're just consuming everything, and you're actually, at the end of the day, you might take some action, but you're taking action on like 6 different things, which is...
Yeah. And little side rant, like what are the top 1% offers doing? Calling their clients out when they're not implementing. I called out one of our clients, just received a huge note back. And I'm just gonna highlight one of the pieces that he said, and that was, I got this message today, and he was like, you actually truly care about your community. Like I may not be implementing right now because of life things, but whenever I'm ready and like my life stuff is calmed down, I know I'm gonna sign up with you guys again because you're the only people who actually show me you really care. Because you even reaching out right now, calling me out on not implementing is exactly why I know I'm in the right place, because nobody's doing that. And so like top 1%, I don't care if you have 1 client or 1,000, you gotta show up for your members and call them out. Hey, I missed you on the live call this week. You're normally there. Yeah. Where were you at? What not to do on Skool is to be so focused on numbers and vanity metrics that you forget that there's humans on the other side.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
People are so focused on getting like 5,500 community members. It's like...
Yeah, what is that going to really change at the end of the day?
If you can't serve the 10 members who are right in your community already, nothing's going to change if you stack on 2 more zeros.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because we just hit 3,000 members last week. And I believe I still, hopefully, I show up the same way as I did when we had 100 members. Obviously there's a lot more members and, it's maybe harder to keep track of everyone's things, but at the end of the day, those touch points are so important and they go so far. Nobody else is doing that. So if you can do a little bit more of that, it's going to go a long way.
So I think another part, because you were mentioning a compounding effect, another point to that is what we're seeing is we get testimonials from people who have never paid us any money, but they've gone through our content and been served and gotten value. So they're starting to tell their friends. They're inviting them to our community. They're telling them to book calls with our team, which by the way, could lead to a sale for us. They could. Like, I'm not saying that happens every time and our intention is adding value, but it's like, there's some people who get on a call with us and they're like, I just want to work with you. How do I work with you? And that's compounding over time because if it's already working and we just add more people into that, and when like I said, we're adding value to every member and we know how to do that at scale, then it's just going to keep compounding. And so one thing I think people don't understand, because it is work to get this started, is the long-term growth in the like waterfall snowball effect that happens because of that. Maybe you could speak to what you've seen, because I came from the world of Instagram DMs and like maybe someone would post a story about you.
Yeah.
That lasts 24 hours, and also their community doesn't know you. Here, they're posting it to your community who does know you. There's a big difference there.
When we first started, or when I first started really, about 14 months ago, it was way harder, right? People were like, who the heck is this guy? It was the same guy showing up the same amount of strength, the same amount of energy, and the same amount of passion. But now, of course, with time and consistency, I think that's the number one thing, and you're gonna hear me say this all the time. But if it wasn't for the consistency, I wouldn't be anywhere where we were. We wouldn't be anywhere we were. So I would say we've been in the game long enough, and for me only, it's been 14 months. A lot of people have trouble being consistent, right? And, let's just say a lot of people are so easy, they're so distracted, they're so easy to go to the next big thing or the next shiny object. And the ones that honestly are in it the longest and have their messaging to be super clear and consistently show up and serve that specific purpose that they're showing and they're serving, I feel like that it's the long game, right? And it's, obviously it's the compounding effect of, we're getting more social proof, right? People are really, it's word of mouth is starting to happen, right? We don't run ads yet, but it's still the word of mouth. Our product, hopefully, is, it's good enough where people are just talking about it and people are getting results. And I would just say it's the compounding effect of being consistent and continuously showing up and sharing the same message you did 14 months ago.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that most school community owners don't take seriously is their authority and their positioning in their niche. And the fact that every testimonial, everything someone says good about your brand is further raising the value of your brand. And I don't think people look at that enough. Right? I mean, even looking back at this event where Atena was speaking with us, Atena has won the Skool games. She also won a 2 Comma Club award, and she just made her first $1 million in 30 days. And she was preaching basically the whole time about how important it is to have authority in your brand. And that's what I feel like Skool has the ability to do for your brand. It helps people talk about you, and it boosts your brand authority. But that can very quickly go in the opposite direction if you're sleazy, if you're salesy. If you're not actually genuinely adding value, that can work negatively against you. And that's where I feel like you shouldn't be doing that. You need to learn how to properly show up and run your school community like a true leader. And that's where your people are going to draw to you like magnets. Well, I mean, I think your school becomes a referral engine for your business because people start talking about how much value they've gotten. Whether they're free or paid, it doesn't matter. But when people are talking about how much value they've gotten from you, they're going to tell their friends. When they tell their friends, they might not be a buyer, but their friends might be. So if your free community is truly acting like a funnel, which we talk about a lot on this channel, how to set that up properly, so subscribe if you want to learn how to do that. But when it's operating like a funnel, if person A got value from Steve and goes and tells their friends, person A may never buy. And that's okay, because we're still going to add value to them. Yeah. They go and tell 2 of their friends, person B and person C, they both get on a call with Steve, they're both given value. Person C might move forward and become a client for the next year, working with us. But that's all because of the value that we gave person A. Yeah. It becomes your best affiliate referral network possible. And the thing is why would they not send their friends? They're sending them somewhere free where they're going to get served. That's why I believe everybody, top 1% of communities, most of them have a free community and a paid. Yeah. Because they understand that.
Yeah, and I would say like I'm in a lot of really good communities, and besides people giving out free information and all the great value that they do, then the other thing that I wanted to mention that we honestly haven't even written down, is that they're just showing up and they're not doing it in a salesy way, right? Maybe they're just bringing in community and they're like, hey, what is everyone up to this weekend? Let's get away this sale. Let's get away from that sale because. Yes, we're growing a business, and yes, money is important, but it's not the end-all, be-all, right? We're connecting to that person on the other side of the screen, just how we are now.
Right, building genuine relationships, which even if you look at what we were doing in person, we hosted the Skool in real life event in Scottsdale, and even that event alone, it's built on relationships, it's built on community, and then what happens naturally, because you're just adding value to someone, they say, oh my gosh, I know someone who needs to work with you. or whatever. But if you have that genuine relationship with someone, you never know. That could lead to you speaking on stages. That could lead to a lifelong friendship of somebody who you invite over for Christmas dinner. That could lead to 10 more clients. You never know. But so long as you show up and authentically build a relationship, who knows where it will take you.
Yeah, and it kind of goes with that saying, it's not what you know, but who you know. I think obviously both are extremely important. But really who you know can move the needle for you so much faster than, you just doing it the slow way. And that kind of goes with like going into the in-person, being in the room with the people, right? Showing them your energy, showing them your passion, your purpose, all of that stuff. And that's what I'm personally going to be leaning into more, is doing just that.
Right, and if we look at what's working for top 1% school communities, their owners are building relationships with other top school owners. They're interviewing them on their podcasts. Yeah. They're bringing them to speak on their stage in front of their audience. And what does that do? That makes their audience available to you. But you have to have leverage. Yeah. That's what I think is so important, is like, if we didn't have a community that was successful, how would we be able to, we don't have leverage to go get on another stage. Yeah. You have to have leverage. And that's where, like, honestly, that's why we said this is like one of the most important videos that you could watch, because we want to teach you how to build your own leverage so that you can go and leverage other stages and get better brain recognition, for example, right?
Totally. Yeah, and like, I mean, that's the thing about leverage, right? You might not have any, but you sure as hell can create it. Yeah. And if you don't believe that, I don't know what to say to you. But you got to create your own leverage. You got to. Yeah, you have to go all in. You have to be consistent. You have to take action. And eventually, when you're just in the game so long, it's inevitable.
Right. And if you're like, okay, Steve's saying like, take action, be consistent. What is he saying to take action and be consistent on? We talk about that in a lot of other videos. This just isn't the video for us to get like super tactical into the how, but we do cover that on other videos on this channel. But right now, we're just trying to do that merging of top 1% communities and what most don't do, that will make it so they don't get the star right away. I also think we should discuss real quick, why do we see that some people rank really quickly, get the star, and then lose it really quick, and then can't get it back? Yeah. Like, why is that? Because that's a trend that I see, like, people hit top 1% and then they lose it. Yeah. And obviously, I think maintaining the star for long periods of time says so much more about the health of your community than rocketing up there and then.
Totally. Yeah, I always tell people, honestly, I'm like, it's one thing to get the star, but it's another thing to keep the star and maintain it. I see a lot, right? I'm very much on Skool all day, every day, and I'm looking at the discovery a lot, and I see these communities come from nowhere, right? People that probably just launched their community. They probably had a big following. Maybe it was on YouTube, maybe it was on Instagram, maybe it was on TikTok, or maybe it was just in person, right? They have a good network. What I see is they jump on the rankings and they're like, where did this person come from, right? And then weeks go by and they start slowly fading because maybe the culture isn't there, right? Maybe they had a ton of engagement, a ton of people joining their community because they had an awesome launch, but then they didn't know how to actually maintain that, right? And that's something that, we can go deeper into that maybe on a different video of how to just maintain the star once you get it. But it's a really important note to make.
So why do they lose it though? Because is it just like they don't have a strategy for?
Yeah, they lose it because of the culture of the community, right? I think like there's this micro burst of just a bunch of people coming in all at once, right? They just did a launch. Everyone's commenting, posting, and it's all this engagement. So it's the quantity. It pushes them in the rankings on the discovery. But it's not able to maintain because they're either A, not used to the platform, or B, the owner isn't creating that culture that they should show up there every single day. They should be active. They should be sharing their wins. They should be engaged. And I see a lot of times that happens where they just lose the rankings and then they go to number 25 or less to all the way to like 100, 200, 500, 1,000. And then the community, it seems like it just dies.
Yeah, prior to having Steve on the team, we had 150 members in our community? 120. Yeah, 120. And what was crazy about that is basically I was the only one posting in there. I had my clients that would like engage with my content a little bit, but it really was stagnant, to say the least. And I was really just growing that community with clients. at this point. I wasn't focused on building an actual community. It was just a place where I was hoping that my clients could go and just get value from talking to each other. It didn't really work like that. And so I was still using it very much as like a place to house my course. And when Steve joined the team, I literally handed you, I think, my phone or my computer. And I'm like, look, I have this community. Here's what I think it could do for us. But I don't know how to do it. Can you figure it out? And you took that and within weeks just absolutely knocked it out of the park. And now here we are. And so much of the success comes down to the strategy that you've done. And I think the core difference there was I wasn't a super active, engaged owner of the community, truthfully. And you stepped in and that was like your only focus was to be that for the community. And it skyrocketed everything.
Yeah.
And so maybe speak a little bit to that, because I think top 1%, they get that.
Yeah, and you have those top 1% that have a huge community, maybe on other socials, right? So they kind of have help in that way. So it doesn't always apply, but let's say we're speaking to someone that doesn't have a big audience, right? And they don't have 1 million subscribers on YouTube. I am a big believer in, if you're gonna tell someone to do something, you should do it yourself, right? Like, don't tell somebody, you shouldn't have a personal trainer that's talking about health and fitness and they're like way overweight, not working out, not doing the work. So I'm big on leading, and in order to lead, you have to lead from the front, right? So if you're a community owner, you should set an example, making posts, but it's not just about I and me, it's about we and us, and setting that example and including your other members and giving them the mic. You have this beautiful stage, let's say, and you have this community that you own and you create everything, you're the owner, it's very obvious. But your community members, maybe they don't feel like they have that voice or that stage to be able to grow as well. So I believe it's really important to create that foundation so they can get on that stage with you, right? It's not just about me and I, it's about us. We all grow together. And I think that foundation is something that is not seen that much on Skool. And when you do see it, it's like you can see it really clearly. And I think that's an important note. Another thing that I would say, there's a few other things, but if you want your community members to engage, right, and then you want them to show up in your community every single day and look for updates, post, all that stuff, you have to do it, right, from a community owner side, right? And maybe that includes getting the flame, which indicates 30 days of activities for 30 days straight, 10 activities or more, and then you will get a flame next to your name, and you have to maintain that flame. Right? So if you're telling all of your members to get the flame and show up in your community every day, maybe you should start by doing that as well. Set an example. That's really important. Another big thing too is going live in your community, right? Maybe every Tuesday at 10 o'clock. They know that you're going to be going live with the community itself. You're kind of setting that routine, just like when you were maybe back in the day when I remember growing up. We used to watch on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. We used to watch a TV show every Sunday, right? We know a new episode was coming out. So maybe you're creating that type of atmosphere as well within your community. So you're showing up consistently. And your community members know, like, oh shoot, it's Tuesday, it's 9 o'clock. I'm supposed to be live with, this guy over here. And that's kind of another great thing too. So it keeps people continuously showing up, because it's one thing to get members to come in your community, but it's another thing to keep them showing up each and every single day.
For sure. And I think this is reminding me of what Sam was just talking about in this Skool news about like what Disney World did to make their brand really cohesive. Yeah. I thought that was so interesting, because I think some of the best communities, it's not just a community. They have merch, they have a YouTube channel, they have a podcast, they have like all of these things. They do in-person events, they have a coaching program. They have this cohesive world that they're creating, like Disney World. Like, they're making it an experience everywhere. It's not just a community. There's a lot of other branches to this ecosystem, this world that they're creating, and the community is just one part of that. It's a piece of it. It might be the glue that holds it all together, which I refer to our Skool community as that all the time. But they see it as one. Instead of, I think, unsuccessful communities when they're first getting started only see it as like one thing, and it's not cohesive with everything else they're doing. And that comes down to your clarity of where you're going long term in your business and with your community, and it's knowing those things, and that's how you can make it really cohesive. So it's that clarity that makes it happen.
Totally.
So if you're watching right now and you're like, okay, this sounds really interesting. I got a lot of knowledge from this. I got some key facts. We're doing this every single day. I'm making posts in there, sharing in our community. I personally would love to see you in there and be able to reach out. And I'm one that my DMs are very much open on Skool. So if you ever have any questions, we'd love to see you inside. Join Magnetic Memberships. Just go ahead and click that link right below, and see you inside.
Click the link.
Click the link, click the link.